workers. Workers taking place in São Paulo. In the United States, the Speaker of the House of Representatives, Kevin McCarthy, was removed from office after vote by legislators. Hunger cries alone for South Sudanese returning to the country after fleeing the fighting that has torn neighboring Sudan apart for more than 5 months. Hello, welcome to From the South. I'm Ana Rosabal from the teleSUR studios in Havana, Cuba. We begin with the news. In Brazil, on Tuesday, October 3rd, the joint strike of subway workers, sanitation workers, and university workers and students taking place in São Paulo. The strike responds to the plan of measure of the extreme right-wing governor of São Paulo, Tarcísio de Freitas, who intends to massively privatize essential public enterprises by 2025. These privatizations mean further deepening the precarious of essential public services with the excuse of greater efficiency. In response, the subway workers, the professor and students of the University of São Paulo and the workers of the sanitation company began a joint strike on Tuesday, which started in force in the morning. The government of Kenya has welcomed the authorization by the United States and United Nations Security Council to deploy a multinational armed contingent to Haiti to combat criminal gang violence. In a message issued after the UN body approved the deployment of the force in the Caribbean country, Kenyan President William Ruto called on the Haitians not to be abandoned while reiterating that this mission is a foundational intervention to create the necessary conditions for Haiti to consolidate its development and governance. In this regard, the President reiterated that it is imperative that the resources and operational reach of the UN teams, as well as other humanitarian and development actors, be adequately strengthened.
For us in Kenya, this mission is of a special significance and critical urgency. We experienced the harrowing brunt of colonialism, as well as the long, difficult, and frustrating struggle for freedom against those that can influence international institutions to frustrate justice. In our struggle, we always had friends, not an overwhelming multitude of powerful allies, yet nevertheless, true, loyal, and determined friends. The people of Haiti, our dear friends, today stand in need. It is our fundamental moral obligation to be their friend indeed by standing with them.
In Bolivia, the 10th Congress of the Movement Toward Socialism, MAS, began under heavy security in the Coliseum of the town of Lauca, where more than 3,000 delegates from different organizations of the country arrived. According to Senator Leonardo Loza, this is the first time that a historic celebration had been held in the tropic of Cochabamba in the headquarters of the 6th Federation of Coca Growers. In his opinion, there is a great possibility that Evo Morales will be ratified as president of the MAS IPSP in a national meeting of his party, and that he will also be nominated as official candidate for the presidential elections of 2025. The 10th National Congress of MAS will be held on October 3rd, 4th, and 5th in the locality of Lauca in the municipality of Chinawota, 186 kilometers from the city of Cochabamba. MAS will define its candidate for president of Bolivia in primaries. Colombia's President Gustavo Petro has described the action of the Attorney General Francisco Barbosa as a constitutional coup. The head of state said that Barbosa had sent copies to the Chamber of Deputies, the Supreme Court, and the National Electoral Council of the investigation into the alleged use of illegal funds in his electoral campaign. The president pointed out that the 8 years of investigations against him by officials of the polling ministry only showed that they are only looking for a way to imprison him in order to prevent the progressivism under his leadership from governing the country. Argentine authorities reported that oil and gas exports generated more than $1.8 billion between January and August. According to a report by the Chamber of Exploration and Production of Hydrocarbons of the South American country, the national treasury increased during the first 8 months of the year. In turn, authorities reported that oil exports grew by 88% and gas exports by 43%. In this regard, the first 8 months of the year, gas exports grew. 1,267 million cubic meters were reported, and 6% of what was traded valued at $377 billion. The increase in export adds reserve for the central bank, in addition to representing more investment and work for this sector. Thousands of students in Mexico City protested peacefully on Monday to commemorate the 55th anniversary of the massacre of students protesters. On October 2,978 soldiers and government agents opened fire in the pro-democracy march, which was held days before the Summer Olympics was staged in the city. Official reports at the time say 25 people were killed, but human rights activists believe as many as 300 may have died. The 1968 movement is credited with sparking Mexico's democratic transition, and the government at the time was almost a one-party institution dominated by the Institutional Revolutionary Party, or PRI, which held the presidency from 1929 to 2000. Let's take a short break, but remember, you can join us on TikTok at teleSUR English, where you find news in different formats, new dates, and more. All stories coming up, stay with us. Welcome back. In the United States, the Speaker of the House of Representatives, Kevin McCarthy, was removed from office after a vote by legislators. With 216 votes in favor and 210 against, the legislature removed McCarthy as Speaker, something that had not happened in the United States for more than 100 years. Representative Patrick McHenry from North Carolina was appointed Speaker pro tempore of the lower house, while the next steps to be taken are determined due to the fact that there is no relevant successor to lead the House. The move came after the ultra-conservative area of the Republican Party rejected a stopgap funding measure backed by the White House and member of the Democratic caucus to avoid a government shutdown. In Italy, a bus accident left several people dead on Tuesday afternoon in Mestre, a city in Venice. Authorities estimate at least 21 deaths, including 2 children, and 18 other people are injured. Several people are also missing. The mayor of Venice, Luigi Brugnaro, called it an apocalyptic scene on his personal X account. The bus fell shortly after 1930 local time from an overpass onto the railway track after a flight of about 10 meters and subsequently caught fire. The causes of the accident are still unknown. Italian media such as Agenzia ANSA assured that the bus was for private use and was heading to a camping site in the town of Magura. Rescue teams, including firefighters and numerous ambulances, are at the scene of the accident, and the serious emergency protocol has been activated. In Armenia, deputies voted on Tuesday to join the International Criminal Court, ICC, further strengthening relations with ally Russia. The Armenian parliament has voted to join the ICC, which earlier this year accused Russian President Vladimir Putin of war crimes for the deportation of children from Ukraine. The Russian president's spokesman therefore declared that the parliament's decision was wrong and not right from the point of view of bilateral relations. The Armenian authorities claim that their accession has nothing to do with Russia, but is motivated by tensions with neighboring Azerbaijan. Russian Defense Minister Sergei Shoigu said no more Russian conscripts will be sent to the combat zone in Ukraine and no additional mobilization is currently planned. The announcement was made during a meeting with senior military staff on Tuesday. The high military official said Russia will begin to enlist for the first time residents of the incorporated territory as part of the twice-yearly military conscription campaign. Russia's defense minister had said last week it would enlist 130,000 men for compulsory military service this fall that began on October 1st in most regions of the country. Shoigu also praised the work of Russian peacekeepers in Nagorno-Karabakh, saying that the ceasefire agreement was achieved through their mediation.
Through the mediation of Russian peacekeepers, the conflict parties managed to agree on a complete ceasefire. The evacuation of more than 98,000 civilians, including about 32,000 children, was organized from Nagorno-Karabakh to the territory of Armenia. The delivery of almost 300 tons of humanitarian cargo has been provided along the Akhtam and Lashin routes.
The 2023 Abu Dhabi International Petroleum Exhibition and Conference opened in United Arab Emirates with the participation of 160,000 professionals and close to 2,200 companies from the energy sector from some 160 countries and regions. Themed Decarbonizing Faster, the four-day event aims to promote collective action and solutions to address climate and energy challenges facing the world today, such as issues related to global energy security, green energy transformation, and sustainable development. Amid oil production costs announced by global major oil producers due to the Russia-Ukraine conflict, the Expo, which is the most influential oil exhibition in the Middle East and the third largest of its kind in the world, bears great significance to ensure the rising demand of countries to achieve green transformation and diversified development.
We have seen China's efforts to achieve transformation toward clean energy and to diversify its energy sources by using clean energy. We have great admiration for the steps China has taken. We hope to conduct a more in-depth cooperation with the Chinese government and enterprises in the future to better learn from China's experience in energy transition.
We have a second short break coming up, but before we invite you to visit our YouTube channel at teleSUR English, where you'll be able to rewatch our interviews, top stories, special broadcastings, and more. Hit the subscribe button and activate the notification bell to set up to date on the world's more recent events. Final short break, don't go away. Welcome back. The UN World Food Programme (WFP) warned on Tuesday that a hunger crisis is looming for South Sudanese returning to the country after fleeing the fighting that has been tearing apart neighboring Sudan for more than 5 months. WFP Director in South Sudan, Mary-Ellen McCarthy, expressed her concern that the country's refugees are moving from one disaster to another in reference to the danger they're fleeing from in Sudan only to find themselves facing despair back home. The high UN official said South Sudanese cross border with nothing but the clothes on their backs, and some are also victims of theft and violence during their journey. After its independence from Sudan in 2011, South Sudan descended into a civil war that left nearly 400,000 people dead and millions displaced between 2013 and 2018.
When we ran from Khartoum, we left everything behind, and now we are suffering here, especially because of the rain and the health of my child. I can't do anything else because he needs constant care.
Since I've been here, I have seen the condition of people deteriorating rapidly, those that are coming across the border as the conflict continues. Really, to see a malnourished child in a mother's arms, not knowing whether that child is actually going to survive the night or not is incredibly confronting. And that's what the UN is here trying to support, that make sure that we are providing that life-saving assistance so people can survive not only their entry but also their onward journeys into South Sudan.
On Tuesday, several hundred opposition protesters gathered in Ghana's capital, Accra, to denounce the country's lingering economic crisis, blaming it to the central bank's governor policies. Led by the opposition National Democratic Congress, or NDC, minority leader Cassiel Forsum, protesters chanted patriotic songs while others blew vuvuzelas, dumped and danced near ranks of heavily armed police. The protesters waved placards decrying the government's management in Ghana, which is going through its worst economic troubles in years. Double occupied boat protests, the opposition leadership says Bank of Ghana Governor Ernest Addison must resign for overseeing an economy where inflation has hit 40%. Ghana's economic outlook will be a major theme as the country heads the election next year, with President Nana Akufo-Addo stepping down after his 2 terms allowed by the Constitution.
If the whole country needs $1 billion from the IMF every year for 3 years to fix our problem, and Edison in 1 year can superintend the loss of $5 billion, who is that problem?
This government, they know that they are losing power.
They will not come back.
They have nothing to lose. Hey, if the BOG destroys Ghana, they don't care. If Addison runs Ghana down, they don't care. But we, the people, must care.
Nigerian Minister of Labor and Employment Simon Lalong announced the tail of the agreements reached with the labor unions to avoid a strike scheduled for Tuesday.
Consequently, a meeting was called by the federal government to avert the strike, and after much discussion, the following agreements were reached. 1. The federal government grants a wage award of 35,000 naira only to all federal government workers, beginning from the month of September, pending when a new minimum wage is expected to have been signed into law. Federal government suspends collection of value-added tax, VAT, on diesel for 6 months, beginning from October 2023.
On the other hand, the president of the Nigerian Trade Union Congress, Festus Osifo, said he expects the government to fully comply with the agreements.
We have a signed agreement, and we have signed this agreement with the belief that government will act in utmost good faith. We signed this agreement with the belief that every single item in this agreement are implementable. Every single item in this agreement, we are extremely serious about them, and we wish to also reiterate that we are expecting 100% implementation and not a 99% in any way.
On the occasion of World Tourism Day celebrations, Syria hosted the first edition of the Shores Festivals in the coastal province of Latakia. The event is part of the government's efforts to restore the vitality of the sector, which has been severely damaged by the war. A correspondent from Damascus, Hisham Wanous, has more details.
Based on the theme of green tourism and investment, chosen this year by the World Tourism Organization and named the Festival of Shores, the event, which is the first of its kind in Syria, took place in the villages of Qasmin and Al-Baida in the coastal governorate of Latakia, sites that enjoy authentic and enchanting nature and the rich environmental diversity that combines forests, rivers and lakes.
Syria, after a fierce 12-year war, demonstrates through this activity that life has not stopped in the country and confirms that it continues to be part of the global trend of promoting environmental tourism and green tourism investment, in parallel with preserving our forests, traditions and heritage. And through this festival, the Syrian people ratified their attachment to life, full of faith and hope in overcoming the difficult conditions that their country is experiencing. Despite the military, political and economic war unleashed against Syria and its people, we show that from the heart of hardship, hope is reborn and love flourishes, and we do it by organizing this tourism festival that highlights the beauty of the nature of our country and the authenticity of our traditions and crafts. And this is the main message that we address to the whole world through this activity.
In order to contribute to rural development, highlight the region's handicrafts and heritage, and publicize the beauty of its nature and its tourist and cultural attractions, the festival included drawing workshops for new talents who, together with veteran visual artists and in an atmosphere of harmony with nature, captured in their paintings, together with other participants in the festival, in exhibitions of handicrafts, photography and homemade products of rural women, the attachment of the Syrian to life in defiance to the adversities, difficulties and setbacks caused by the war and the blockade.
The organization of this festival sends a message to the entire Arab world and the entire planet that the Syrian people remain steadfast and productive, and that the movement of visual art in Syria will not stop as long as our hearts beat as artists' sons of this homeland, and that this perseverance and attachment to life will endure from generation to generation.
In the midst of the difficult economic conditions in the country, I decided to develop my own mini project to improve my economic situation and help my family. And so I dedicated myself to producing organic food based on natural components of the area, and I have been very successful since my products, in addition to local consumers, are in demand in the United Arab Emirates, Saudi Arabia, Iraq, and Germany.
The book exhibition shared the stage with other activities of the festival, which also included guided tours of the museums of traditional crafts and trades of the area, and the musical concert of traditional songs of the country. A comprehensive festival that, in addition to showcase, highlighted the qualities of the human element that inhabits this region of Syria. As a productive and cultured component, determined to preserve and enrich the traditional, cultural, and natural heritage of its country.
And we have come to the end of this news brief. You can find these and many other stories on our website at telesurenglish.net. And join us on social media, Facebook, X, Instagram, Telegram, and TikTok. For Telesur English, I'm Ana Rosabal. Thank you for watching.